we knew a major freeze was coming as far as a week to 10 days in advance.
I mean, I can't imagine running a NASA mission this way. I can't imagine trying to send a space shuttle up this way, where you don't even ask the questions. You don't have the authority. Nobody has the authority to figure out what's working and what isn't. Nobody goes out and checks whether valves are frozen or not frozen. Nobody goes out and actually does a dry run to make sure that everything's going to be okay. I mean, I'm appalled.
And so it seems to me that inadequate preparation is a management failure, not a weather problem.
The policy question is, do we want to spend more money or require the plants to spend more money to have this backup resource, in the case of a gas plant, to have heating oil for a situation that occurs very seldom?
Well, we certainly expend money in terms, and let's talk in terms, and I'm not going to hold you long, in terms of homeland security. We spend money to protect ourselves for an event that we hope will never happen, but we protect ourselves against these bad times. When you have these rolling blackouts for people who are depending on the service, whether they're businesses or whether they're people in our homes who are dependent on needing electricity, I mean, we have to protect them.
We're not hearing from generators today, but in every story I've looked at, read, and every news report, I've yet to hear anybody say they were sorry. And I think what bothers me the most is, to me, rolling blackouts are a system failure.
It is difficult to fault the ERCOT operators for the job that they did this time. I mean, the plane was headed into the ditch, and they were able to avoid a bigger crash. And that's exactly what they're trained to do, and they did a good job.
I think it's our responsibility to say, you know what, part of your cost of doing business here is to be prepared. Be a little overly prepared, because we don't want to have, drastic situations that put us in a bad spot, either with consumers, whether they be residential or commercial or public safety.
These generators you work with on a daily basis, you talk to on a daily basis, and frankly, they're represented on your board.
Yes, sir.
And so even with them being represented on your board, you can't get them to give you the information that you need to make appropriate decisions. That's your testimony.
If you and I are smart enough to go wrap our pipes, why isn't somebody in a multi-billion-dollar plant smart enough? I can't believe that all the bells and whistles that the new plants have is where we saw the greatest failure.
Well, contrary to popular opinion, we actually still get to be the policymakers.
Right.
And we get to, listen to all sides of this, and we actually have a very unique moment in history where we're coming together with all of this. And if we're wanting to spend the time to try to see where we can make some improvement, we actually have that ability to do it.
Again, it all goes to inadequate preparation. And it seems to me the buck has to stop somewhere. And yes, it was an extraordinary freeze. And yes, in South Texas and the coast, we normally see power outages in hurricanes, but we knew this was coming. It wasn't like a tornado that sprung up like some other event that you can't prepare for.
I think at the end of the day, it's not that the system works terribly. It's just that there are some system issues. And it cuts down to what powers do we give PUC in relationship to ERCOT. And, we as a body, in the House anyway, I don't know what we can't tell the Senate a whole lot these days, but we can, at least within the body, that we have some concerns from the House standpoint of the policy of how this is all supposed to play together, and where's the accountability, and what incentives do we have to ensure. Now, granted, we went through an historic severe weather, and there were some issues, and I agree with you. On my little BlackBerry, I can get updates hourly on the weather, but at the end of the day, they tried to react when things happened, and then, you can go back and here's the example that I would give you. Hindsight's always great, but it does reflect the fact that we now have we need to ensure that these sort of things not only don't happen, but we have an ideal opportunity to affect policy and give what powers that we want to give the PUC, what incentives, that sort of thing. We should take that up.